Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the weekly Steelchair. Today, we review All In and we talk about the man who always does stuff that we always need to talk about. That is, of course, CM Punk. But we'll be discussing him and everything that happened on the grandest stage of them all, Wembley Stadium, today. For the next hour, don't feel shortchanged, however. We will be back tomorrow night with your All Out and WWE Payback previews. I think we said we were doing that at about 5:45 tomorrow, so we're planning on going long for that. If you do want to be involved, I know Jamie is in the process. He's either in the preview or the review. Jamie, who's been on the show before, we've obviously, open challenge, essentially. You're welcome to share your thoughts. And joining me is, of course, the granddaddy of the weekly Steelchair. This is his baby, and I'm just, co-owner of it. I don't like what that would imply. Anyway, I'm joined by Reece, of course. How are you doing today? You said that there's been something going on.
Yeah, I've not been well, to be honest. But I got sent home from work yesterday. Not well, but I pretty much slept off. Took medication for the first time in a long time, but I went back into work today. I'm feeling okay. So that's why an hour is all I can physically give. But I do look like Casper's elderly living ghost. But at least I'm not as white as that. But all in all, I'm still at least good to go, and we've got a good show to talk about. So let's just see how it goes. I think it's going to be a good show. There is some good things, and there is some positives, and there are some negatives from what we're about to talk about. But another thing as well, though, is it's just two wrestling fans talking about wrestling. So we're just going to enjoy it anyway.
For the next hour, you can just get cozy. We're going to be talking about the wrestling. We're going to be shooting the sugar on this one. And yeah, Connor, I think it was. I think I remember. Yeah, Connor, jump on, man.
Yeah, you want to join us tomorrow, Connor? If so, yeah, of course you can. Not a problem.
Yeah, absolutely jump on.
He's over in the States, so definitely time-wise, it'll be good for him because it'll be right at the very start of his day, the jammy bastard. But of course he can. I know Yeti Boy was there. He had a good laugh. There is a lot to get through. But the question is, are we just going to do it all in, or will we discuss some news? Or do you want to save the news till tomorrow?
I think we'll start. So I think we need to start with the one news story. But the good news is that the man himself feeds into All In. We're here for an hour, Connor. But if you want to jump on, share your thoughts. Today is All In being reviewed. So if there was something you liked about the show, you might want to jump on, and it's like it's like having really bitter food. We need that sprinkling of sugar, and I am coming in with a very bitter, very sour disposition for two reasons, and one of them is the man that we're jumping on to talk about right now, which is, of course, CM Punk. And if I had £1 for every time we've had to discuss this man, I could retire. But the reason he is a talking point this time is because he might have left the company. So everyone knows what happened in this event. We know that Jack Perry is, for some, the instigator, and for some, the unfortunate he was on the receiving end of an annoyed CM Punk. What was your initial reaction when that happened? When the news came out?
Just want to say as well before I answer that is to my man Maka. It's good to see you, mate. It's been a wee while. I'm good. How are you doing? To be honest, the good thing about Wembley is the internet connection was fucking easy. So I literally found out about it as the match was starting, the first match, obviously. All I'm gonna say is, again, I'm surprised and not surprised at the same time. Like the reason I'm surprised is why the fuck would you do it straight away? Like, you've just had. The funny thing is, right, is CM Punk deserves a lot of shit, right? He deserves a lot of shit. But I'm also going to say this as well. This also comes down from another comment he, funnily enough, made about the media scrum that happened well over a year ago. One comment he specifically made that is an absolute fact. Connor, I'll bring you in just a second. There's one comment that CM Punk made on that scrum a year ago, and it's definitely accurate, as he works with children.
Yeah.
Jack Perry, literally, before, it was like a couple of weeks ago, he said he wanted to go through Real Glass with CM Punk because he's not had a holiday and Real Glass would write him off. CM Punk said no, rightfully so. Anybody who wants to go for Real Glass on a wrestling show is fucking stupid. Like, genuinely fucking stupid, because you can cause serious harm. You can cause serious harm to yourselves. So no matter what happens, you get to the pre-show of the biggest show AEW's got at Wembley Stadium, and you bring out constantly, you come out in a limousine for your entrance with Real Glass, and you decide to do a fucking brainbuster through it anyway to prove a point. Like, whoever actually authorized that on the creative side as well is also a fucking moron, because they've actually went again. Well, CM Punk says no on Collision because he doesn't want to write off Jack Perry for Real Glass, but he'll do it through Fake Glass, which is actually what I would have done. Fake Glass makes more sense than Real Glass because you can protect yourself. But the fact that Jack Perry's...
it's also a problem because, and
you should have done it in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, like help me out with this, but it's literally the case that you just shouldn't do that spot. It was the opening match on the card as well. Like, it actually wasn't even. It was on the 0 hour. It's not.
Yeah.
And Punk was opening the card, and I think the reason that Punk saw this as, like, you know, an attack on him as opposed to just Jungle Boy being an idiot is because of what he said as he did it. You know, he felt the need to point it out. Now, Jungle Boy's defense, or Jungle Jack Perry, or whatever we're calling him now,
just Jack Perry, he goes now. Yeah,
his defense.
Jack Shithouse here.
He's not. To be fair, in a nutshell, I think the split. I think there's some right and there's some wrong here. Obviously, one, I admire Jack Perry's the fact he's done it, but the fact is he was told no because it's Real Glass.
I mean, it's not like AEW care about the health and safety of the wrestlers anyway, so we're not arguing about the spot with Real Glass. That may be what's caused CM Punk to blow up at Jack, but everyone goes through glass. Everyone has the thumbtack.
Yeah.
We will get on to that. You know how much I enjoy talking about non-wrestling. But the point is, Punk got annoyed because Jack Perry pointed out that it was Real Glass. As, in Punk's eyes, a shot to CM Punk, because Punk told him not to do it. And the way he did it, you know, he was like, it's Real Glass. See this? You know, he was hitting it. Real Glass. So
exactly.
Jack Perry made up his mind he was going to do it anyway. So the question once again comes back to, why did Tony Khan let him? And why has he not been fired for doing it?
See, that's the question. And I actually wonder, just because it's a situation where he's already been told no, but then he does it anyway, you can't really go against CM Punk's orders because CM Punk isn't in charge, but CM Punk, at least as a talent, whether you like him or not, still has a right to say no about going through Real Glass as a spot because you want to get rid off because you want heel heat and you want to go off and, I don't know, have a break. Like, but then again, though, there are other. This is the funny thing. We've all been wrestling fans for decades. Like we have. I've been a wrestling fan for two decades. Pretty much my third.
About a decade and a half.
Exactly. But the thing is, right? We've all been wrestling fans that long. I guarantee we can all name different ways that wrestling fans been wrote off due to for injuries or a break. that doesn't need to involve real glass.
No.
Like, there is one, for example, that we know that involving one of Eilidh's favourite wrestlers, Dean Ambrose. He got right up, his head was put through a cinder block.
I mean, just have someone grab a chair and put it on your leg and stomp it, and just tell someone that you got to. I mean, so my girlfriend knows fuck all about wrestling, but her best friend is actually a diehard fan as well. Like, her father, before he passed away, would take her to, like, their bonding thing is every time he came to visit, they'd go see a wrestling show. That was their thing.
Nice.
And I actually wanted to be a professional wrestler when I was young. When I first got into it, I'm like, oh, this is fantastic.
Same.
But the thing that stopped me, probably a different thing stopped you because you're in Scotland, so that a little bit different.
No,
but
the ICW's got a dojo. We can
For me, it was the travel. For me, I'm like, I don't want to be on the road 365. And that was the thing I told her. I'm like, the thing that put me off the most is I don't want to have to get a spot where I get injured just to give myself a break.
Yeah.
Because my body's already broken down from doing other stuff. So I was like, I don't know if I could handle that kind of travel. I don't want to subject my future significant other to that travel, really. And I don't want it to be where it's like, hey, I need to get injured so I can have a break. I'm about to fucking pass out. I'm exhausted.
Yeah,
what's got me with my neck and my back? I physically cannot. If I actually
my shoulder,
no.
I'm 24 this month, and I'm set for shoulder reconstruction surgery at the end of the year.
Ooh.
My shoulder is completely the ball that holds my shoulder in place. I chipped it, dislocating it for a fourth time, and so they have to put a piece of metal in there to hold it in place now. At the end of the year. So
you are like Luger version 2.
Basically. So I get Jack Perry saying, "Hey, I'm exhausted. I'll do whatever it takes to get a break."
That he needs to ask for that break, and because Tony Khan is supposed to be the boss.
But Tony Khan doesn't care. We know this. He does not care about health and well-being. So he wasn't going to grant him that. So he's like, "Let me go through glass because I'm exhausted. I need a break." I don't think the real glass is the way to go about it, but I think Jack Perry is completely within his right when you have a dumbass like Tony Khan leading the team, and he's like, "Oh, there's now another spectacle. It's not just WrestleMania." No, you are still the little brother. Congratulations. He's like, "Oh, we've sold more than any other WrestleMania." You haven't anymore because WrestleMania or whatever for next year has already crushed you. Technically not yet.
Technically, it hasn't. You can't use that yet because
not yet.
People don't understand.
It's not yet. But it will crush the soul out of AEW seeing the fact that they're going to get stomped on immediately.
It's that comment. That comment does him no favor. That comment does him no favor. To be fair.
But it's like I understand that you have an incompetent boss, and you're like, fine, I will take it in my own hands and get myself injured just so I can go home and rest. Because I'd be the same way. I think Punk. My girlfriend works with 2-year-olds. And they have about the same maturity level as CM Punk. They're the wrestling gap, the gap in wrestling skill is very different between a 2-year-old and CM Punk. It's not massive, but there's a gap. But the maturity level is pretty similar because CM Punk, you are a veteran. You're supposed to be a leader. A leader doesn't act like a ass bitch and go after other wrestlers like that. I don't care if you didn't like what he was doing with the real glass. Let Tony Khan handle it, potentially fire him. Obviously, it hasn't happened, but let the boss handle it. Let Samoa Joe, who has come out to be the actual leader, handle it. I get where that Punk is angry, but you are not the boss. You are not in charge. Let the guy. I get you're a veteran and you are this big grab now, but you are still not the boss.
That's correct.
You need to let the boss handle his business. When stuff goes wrong at your work, you don't take it into your own hands. You go, "Hey, boss, this guy's not doing." I had it happen last week where this person kept, going on their phone, taking breaks way too long. They took like an hour lunch when we only get a half hour. I got pissed because I would love that, but it's not in our contract. So instead of taking it in my own hands, I went to my boss and said, "Hey, this is happening." That's how you handle it like a man. You realize that the most mature way to handle it is to go to the person who can actually do something about it. Especially
Yeah, but what are you supposed to do when your own boss won't do anything about it, can't do anything about it? I mean, this is tricky because once again, like there's been in every AEW drama, there are no winners. Like,
I think you take him aside. I don't think you attack him.
Looking good at all because Tony Khan isn't going to listen at all, and I'm annoyed because Jack Perry doesn't put a single ass in a seat. Everyone who's going to AEW, everyone who was going to Wembley, wasn't going to sell their ticket if they didn't get to see Jack Perry. And the number one bit of evidence for that is Jack Perry wasn't technically on the show.
Yep.
It's such a nothing thing. Like, the guy asks for time off. Why has Tony Khan refused it? Oh, you need to do this angle with Hook.
Because he's an absolute specimen.
At that point, you're like, okay, well... And at the same time, but imagine this was WWE for a minute. I know it's tricky because WWE's management has always been way more competent. We may have disagreed with their decisions, but it's always been adults.
Not always, but yes. Not always, but
Triple H in charge. I will say with Triple H in charge, I have much more faith in WWE and how they handle things.
Yeah, the locker room is a lot nicer. The problem here is, all the management. Imagine if WWE were refusing to give someone time off because they were banged up and needed a rest. Imagine if that story got out. Imagine if it's like Santos Escobar refused time off. Yeah. WWE get raked over the coals. This is going to be a theme of the night. We're going to be talking about things that AEW get away with because it's a crowdfunding project.
I think what people have to also realize as well, yes, Punk is in the wrong for how he's also acted, but let's be real. Would any of us No, but let's be real, and let's also answer this question. We would all act the same way. If you think about it, if you're in the same situation where you look at it, you are in a very high impacting role. Even if CM Punk is a prick, he is still the real world's champion. He's the main guy on Collision, even though Jay White's about to surpass him anyway, which is a thank fuck anyway. Like, when you look at it in the right way possible, somebody comes up to you saying, I need time off. Like, this is a talent coming to you before even going to their boss. They're coming to you. Listen, mate, I want to go through real glass because I want to get written off. Like, specifically, I want written off. Immediately, I'm telling them no. Like, I'm saying no.
I don't think he's in the wrong for saying no. I think he's just in the wrong for then attacking him later on. It's like, okay.
The worst thing as well, though, is the fact they got in their face. Punk obviously went to him, you got a problem. Perry's then said something. Whatever he said, I don't know. And then Punk's saying, well, to hell me, and he's choked him out. Like,
he can't go through the glass, though.
And then
he's already done that.
On Tony Khan, which is hilarious. That
once
the situation is done, Tony Khan just lets him go.
There are other ways to get yourself written off or deal with a situation like this. Again, Jack Perry's made himself look like an arse. Like,
do you think Punk could have gone, hey, no to the glass? Why don't I put your knee in a steel chair?
It could have done.
Instead of saying no straight up, offer. This is the thing. I feel like, I don't know. I forget, Reece, exactly what you do, but I feel like if you're the prime thing with whenever you get a request, I was taught this in business class, and then I'm applying to law school soon, so I was also taught this from a law perspective. When it's all about compromising, and when you settle on something, you don't just go no. You offer a solution that befits both parties. And so instead of Punk going no,
I heard that's what you wanted to do.
Saying no, why don't we do this? Unless I haven't heard anything of Punk offering any sort of compromise or any sort of different solution. All I've heard is just Punk went, nope, which I understand him saying no, but also I understand Jack Perry's side of saying, hey, I'm exhausted. I'd like to go home. Maybe he didn't come up with the best solution. Maybe he didn't handle it the best way. But I see the motivation behind it. I completely sympathize with, and I feel like Tony Khan. I think is that. When we're looking at percentage, there's the law now where it's percentage of blame when there's like an accident. When we look at percentage of blame in this case, I'm going honestly. I'd go 50, 30, 20. 50% is Tony Khan. He has
absolutely.
festered, and he's the one who's manifested this kind of atmosphere and this kind of workplace to where this thing is okay to happen. And then 30%, I think, is on Jack Perry. I get where you're coming from.
Yep.
Glass is not the way, and then you don't try and cause an issue with CM Punk. And 20% is Punk because I don't think he handled this right, and he shouldn't have tagged Perry. But at the bottom line, Tony is the main cause of this. He is the one who's let this kind of thing fester and has built an environment where this is something that's allowed to happen way too often. I hear way too often of fights breaking out between wrestlers and AEW that is outside of storylines. That is not acceptable. You think Triple H would allow this to happen in WWE where it's like, oh, these two guys were fighting backstage? But do you think that it would be handled like this from here where we haven't heard of any firing for the attempt for the real glass? CM Punk has gotten suspended, which I really don't believe.
I mean, the one thing is, this the thing is, right, is like the one thing that people are going to use in this situation, this is what I don't like, right? People are going to use this as an image that everything is generally wrong with AEW. Like, generally, it is more bad than good. When let's be real, it's not.
It's have a few promotion. It's just run by a moron.
They have their problems. Takes us a long time to get through. They have their problems, but they also are a good thing for people to actually go to. There's people that actually invested in there to actually go. Like, you would not even care for AEW as an interest as a wrestler, even if WWE was an option, because there are guys and women that have had both options and they've chose there. So and it's the same vice versa as well. People have had the opportunity to go to AEW and they've chose to go to WWE, and that's completely fine. Like that is what I like.
Go.
Exactly. So I'm like, but the one thing about it as well is people are going to use it as a mass saying, "Oh, here comes the tribal arguments," and I'm like, we don't need the tribal arguments. We don't need the tribal arguments. What we need is just for the ready-made options that are causing the issues just to be scattered out and be like, well, if this isn't working, then fine, we'll take a hit and we'll go with younger talent that are actually working their way up to try and build themselves, and we'll run with them. And there is some good talent to work around. But I
think he's genuinely bigger than that company, though. And I know we're going to move on to All In, but I think the exact reason that Punk behaves the way that he does is because he knows that he is bigger than the company.
If this was MJF or someone along that lines, that instead of Jack, it's a completely different story. I feel like half of this is honestly just the big star picking on the little dude who, while he shouldn't have asked to go through, shouldn't have said, hey, Punk, let's go through real glass so I can go home. I still think this is the case.
It's a ready-made veteran that your promoters actually admitted himself he wanted CM Punk over Chris Jericho when this company actually started. Like, let's be real. If CM Punk was available in 2019, CM Punk would have been the very first AEW World Champion, by the way.
Oh yeah,
not Chris Jericho. Yeah, that's a fact.
Absolutely.
I think that's gone to his head. I honestly think it's gone to his head, though. I think Punk.
Yeah, he gets to live out his Triple H power fantasy now. He gets to be the John Cena. Only John Cena managed to do it by being everyone's friend, but now CM Punk's like, yeah, I get to be on the front of everything. I get to be on top of everything. You know, I get to be the champ.
There's similarities between him and Cena, but I feel like Cena, it's different because Cena and him are both, faces. They're selling everything. They're big. Cena, I felt like, instead of using that as a weapon,
both assholes. They're both assholes.
I mean, Cena used it to. Some guys were buried by Cena.
I would like to see any evidence that John Cena's an asshole. I think he's one of the nicest human beings, not only in the wrestling business. I genuinely think John Cena would give you a run for nicest human being alive.
100%. I feel like he's definitely buried some people. I love John Cena. I think he's
but I don't think it was his decision. I mean, what's the one that you could probably levy at his doorstep? Baron Corbin?
I wouldn't even say
I'm sorry, but if it wasn't for him, Shinsuke Nakamura would have been a world champion in 2018.
But Shinsuke's still got plenty of time. It's
Well,
not like Shinsuke's not.
Shinsuke Nakamura could be a world champion in less than 48 hours.
I was going to say Nakamura could easily be holding a title within the next
Exactly. And if you're interested to know what we think about that, you can tune into tomorrow's stream before we get.
Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. I'm only looking forward to maybe 2 or 3 matches to Payback. We're gonna have the same conversation about Payback as we are about like All Out. Like, and that's something that actually does concern me. Anyway,
I'm ready to have the conversation about All In. So I think the way that we're going to do this, okay, I've got the list in front of me. We're going to ignore the pre-show because we've obviously just spoken about Jack Perry.
Do you want to do this results-based?
Trading around to let different people lead on matches, and we've got between 3 and 5 minutes per match. So quick review.
Do you want to do this results-based? Do you want to do this results-based or go full in depth?
What do you mean?
Like results-based, so we can talk about, well, here's the winner, like moments we actually enjoyed, moments we didn't like, and then discuss like the overall outright, the impact it'll actually have going forward. Or we just review it.
Well, we're not going to review it move for move because it was an AEW show. You think I could remember that? So who wants to kick us off? Match number 1. We're going to run in match card order. I would quite like to lead on match 6 because you know exactly what I'm going to say about it. But the opener is CM Punk, funnily enough, versus Samoa Joe. So who wants to lead on that one? Just your brief thoughts on CM Punk and Samoa Joe.
I'm just sorting out the actual order on.
Yeah, I've got the cards, I believe, arranged in the order that.
Just remind me. The second match was Golden Elite. Then it was FTR Young Bucks. Then it was
that thing. Then it was the women.
Then it was Coffin match.
Osprey Jericho.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just getting the order. There we go.
The order's up on Wikipedia, so anyone else looking to follow along. Who wants to come in on this one? It's like Mock the Week with Darryl O'Brien. Who wants to come in on Punk versus Joe?
You're leading the show. You're leading the show. It's up to you.
Okay. Well, I think I'll lead on this one, and then Connor, you can lead on the 6-man if you like.
Sure.
No. That's mine.
Okay, take the 6-man. That's fine. Okay.
Right. That would give you FTR and the Bucks.
Yep, that's fine.
Right. Cool. So I'll lead on this.
We'll do that order then.
Yeah, I think both these guys need to retire right now. This match was horrible. What an awful way to kick off the show. It was so slow. And CM Punk dropped Joe on his head in 4 minutes with a Hurricane Rana. CM Punk's so bad with the blade that Samoa Joe had to throw him into the table so he could do it. It was a theme of the night. People seemed to be moving like they were underwater, or Trish Stratus, for lack of a better term. This was terrible, I thought. I thought it was clear right from the entrances that they didn't have the mixing right for the crowd audio for the people watching on pay-per-view. Because I imagine this place was bouncing. On Fight TV, it did not come across as that. This came across as just any other AEW show. And yeah, I thought this match was terrible. Why do you have blood in the first match? It's the first match of the night. At least 5 matches are going to have blood in.
Tribute? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't care really for the best will in the world, right? Obviously, Terry Funk dies and rest in peace and all of that, and it was a sad week for wrestling. We lost 2 of the greats, absolutely.
But do we need to bleed in the first match of a pay-per-view with 2 guys who don't know what they're doing?
Yeah, you are at Wembley. You are trying to settle the crowd into their seats. Record crowd. And yeah, boy, you're mentioning atmosphere here. It did not come across on Fight at all. There was Punk got a bit booed, okay, but when you compare, there
was a fair amount. Honestly, there was a fair amount.
If you compare the Fight audio for Wembley Stadium to Clash at the Castle in the in Was it the Millennium? Anyway, the stadium in Cardiff, levels. So this is what made me think it was a mixing issue. But anyone else on Fight, did they have that sort of issue, or were you both actually at the show?
I mean, I'm in the US, so I couldn't be at the show, but I honestly, the opener for me, this was two guys who have been in this business for a long time, and as wrestlers, I have some respect for. I have a ton more respect for Samoa Joe. I think I loved his runs with WWE. He was one of those guys where before I started actually embracing heels and actually liking when heels are really good at getting heat, I fucking hated Samoa Joe.
WWE didn't know how to use Samoa Joe.
When he was a heel, he is so good at being a heel. Like, he is perfect. He was like the wrestling gods were like, let us give you this guy. And he knows how to do everything very well. He wrestles well. He promos well. He gets heat really well. But saying that, I have to agree, that was shocking.
It was really bad, wasn't it? I was really hoping someone else would agree.
I think it was a great idea getting those two as, the opener, because you're going to get because no one's going to be like, oh, we can dawdle because the first show's not going to, the first match is going to be big. It's like, oh no, we need to be in our seats. First match is Joe Punk. We need to be in our seats as before opening so that we can catch this match. Honestly, I would have rushed my seat and then be like, well, fuck, I would have rather just got myself a pint and waited in line for some food first. I would have rather skipped the match because it looked rusty. It looked like two guys who just have lost half a step. It's like, I mean, Reece, we can talk about this in sports terms. It's like Gareth Bale. He's always been very fast. No,
she's an Arsenal fan. You really want to bring up an ex-Tottenham player in front of an Arsenal fan?
I'm a Tottenham fan, so I don't give
I'm okay with you bringing up Gareth Bale. It's funny that Gareth Bale was the 7th player that Tottenham had bought to replace Gareth Bale.
Honestly, I kind of like Gareth Bale. To me, is honestly kind of like CM Punk in my eyes. Both were very good for a while. Took a long break from actually trying when we had the Wales golf Madrid thing with Bale, and then have now ended strong. But like all players who are fast, first thing that goes is the speed. And with these two wrestlers, I feel like they've lost a step. It's just not there. The sharpness is not there.
The thing is, right, with Samoa Joe's never always been quick, though. This goes back to his Ring of Honor days and his run in TNA when he was actually at his best.
I'm more going at Punk for being kind of slow, not as quick as he should have been. I feel like he was very rusty. Like you said, Joe has always been
He's always been heavy and powerful.
He's a butterball. He's a butterball.
Yeah, but he's actually a very underrated worker. When you look at Punk, though, Punk relatively quick, but Punk's always had one good thing in the ring, though. Funnily enough, with Samoa Joe, they were actually able to wrestle good matches together. You look at the times when they actually wrestled each other. Every single Punk match I've watched with Joe has always been great to watch. But then again, you're looking at the timing of when that happened. The psychology was there for them to actually build a match.
So much of these shows come down to just like that, what you just said there, the timing. Like, it's the idea that they decided. Now, I believe I said this in the preview. They decided to trot out a Ring of Honor main event from the. I mean, I forget.
The mid-2000s.
Yeah, the mid-2000s. They decided to trot that out 18 years past its sell-by at Wembley 100%. And expect it not to stink. It sucked.
It reeked of Leeds.
I gave it a 2 out of 10.
It reeked of Leeds.
I don't think it was genuinely awful. My problem I had with it was it wasn't what I think we needed. I don't necessarily think I didn't hate the match. I just didn't think it was the one we needed. That's my point of view on it. I don't think it was absolutely genuinely shit. I think there was much worse moments throughout the whole night, but
We will get to those. Don't you worry.
I generally don't think match-wise we needed Punk versus... I think you could have waited. I think this one could have been done for All Out, personally. It should have been Punk versus Ricky Stark for this one, to be honest.
Or you could hurry up
I
and
like that one better.
MJF, decide who the real world champion is and move the hell on.
That was not going to happen, though, to be fair.
This could have been...
I know it wasn't going to happen, but it could have. Like, they could have decided, we're going to actually move this along instead of both just kind of pretending that they're world champ. Anyway, I think we've all agreed that's a bit of a stinker. But yeah, Reece, you're going to lead on this one then. You seem keen. We have Bullet Club Gold.
Reece gargles on the Bullet Club. You can never not have Reece talking about
Bullet Club Gold and Konosuke Takeshita defeat, or Takeshita, I always mess that up. Defeat the Golden Elite.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say this match was actually perfect. Right, I actually enjoyed this one. Like, in terms of what was involved, it minimalized two things. One, it minimalized the injuries that Kota Ibushi's actually still dealing with. Less involvement in the ring. Obviously, he did that one spot with the moonsault with Omega, which was going to happen anyway. They always do that in a tag together. I like the fact as well that we got to see in the ring, you got the link up between Omega and Ospreay. Not Ospreay, sorry, because I'm thinking of that later on. Omega and Jay White, you got to see that in the ring where you got the two of them actually linking back to their time from 5 years ago. So it felt right. You had the link up between Ibushi and Jay White. But to be honest, the standout in this whole entire match for me was Juice Robinson. Juice Robinson for me stood out the whole match. And the reason why Juice Robinson stood out was the actual way he acted in the ring. Like his facial expressions, his delivery, like his madness to his character actually works in a tag. In a single, it doesn't. I don't think it resonates well in a tag, in a singles as it does to a tag match. But overall, I actually really enjoyed it, and I like the fact that it was the right decision as well to have Bullet Club Gold beat the Golden Elite, and it was the same thing as well. I said it was going to be this. I said it would be a screwy finish. I said roll up. And I actually like the fact they went with roll up as well because it adds to Takeshita versus Omega.
I was going to say, this was purely to lead forward with more. This is not.
And that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. That's exactly what you're getting. You're getting Omega versus Takeshita in a singles match as well. So they already know this is what they're going with, so they need to add to it. But I just like the fact that everyone involved, they got their individual entrances as well, not the trios. And I just like the fact that you could see from either side that they were going to at least raise the bar, and they were going to raise the bar where if you really want to have to top it, you have to bring something special. And only two matches on the night really came close or topped it. So all in all, I generally have no issues with this tag match at all. And honestly, I rate it a 7 out of 10.
Okay, I gave this one a 6 out of 10. And my standout performer of the match was Kenny Omega.
He was awesome.
Everything Kenny Omega did in this match was absolutely perfect Kenny Omega. It was like New Japan Kenny Omega again. He got the crowd going with the clap. It's like everything that he did made me think that he could genuinely be a huge star. But I think his body will give out before he can go to WWE and really sort of capitalize on that. And you'd be like, why would you have to go to WWE to be a major star? Because he's just done a stadium show yet. WWE is a different ballgame. Absolutely is. But
he doesn't want WWE though.
I thought this was okay. It wouldn't be out of place on a Wrestle Kingdom card as a sort of main card 6-man match. It didn't set the seats on fire. It wasn't.
The crowd were more involved for this one than most matches on the night. Like this generally was the crowd match.
All Kenny Omega. Because, again, this is why I think the mixing was screwed. A quote from Greg here, my brother, he said, Takeshita could have been the guy to come out and sweep the ring because the entrance was that quiet for him. Like, no one cared. But Kenny was on his game. No one else did anything particularly stupid. it was a little paint by numbers at times, but it's also
wasn't
a
rushed.
six-man tag. It's got to be a little bit paint by numbers, get the heat, reset, that sort of thing. Yeah, I had no problem with this. 6
For
out
a,
of
si-
10,
for a six
and Kenny
for a
Omega
6-man
is
as well.
out of timeout. So good
For
boy,
a
Kenny.
6-man for a 6-man tag as well, and I think this is something that does go in this tag match's favour. This tag match wasn't rushed. You know, like what most 6-man tags we see from AEW or WWE, their 6-man
Yeah,
tags are generally quite rushed. This one
match,
wasn't rushed.
Yeah.
This actually felt like it was given time to actually work for them all, to actually work around each other and actually showcase something. That's why, like, Omega was amazing. I'm not taking that away from Kenny Omega. Like, Kenny Omega, seeing him live is just as good as fucking TV. But Jesus Christ, live he's extra special. But like,
he's next level live. I think there's a lot of special wrestlers where when it's live, it's just like it's insane. See, I'm gonna go smack in the middle of you two.
okay,
I give it a 6.5. I give it a 6.5, so I'm smacking between you two.
All right.
That's
My
fair.
own rules were that I wasn't going to 0.5 it, but I absolutely respect it.
I think my standout guy, and I'm going to go kind of different than you guys, because if there's one thing I can respect, it's an older guy doing a standing moonsault. It's Kota Ibushi.
I love Ibushi, but I love Ibushi.
I think he's fantastic. I think he's really done well with this kind of atmosphere that he's kind of the Golden Elite. I kind of think those three, Omega, Ibushi, and Hangman together, it's kind of a beautiful marriage of three kind of different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And it works.
Yeah.
And like I said, I will always give a ton of respect to anybody who at 41 years old can do a standing moonsault.
Not just that.
Anybody who's not considered a young wrestler anymore that's doing a standing moonsault, I'm like, all right.
But it's not just that, though. Like, it's not just that, like, the one thing we do know is, like, Kota Ibushi was out for a long time because he had very severe injuries. This is what I liked about this match. This match maximized the timing that he had, which wasn't a lot, but it maximized the time for the spots he actually delivered. It fit well to what he actually does best. So it still allowed Kenny Omega to do his work that is fundamentally sound. Exactly. And that's exactly why this match shone. And
everybody's like,
exactly what you need.
They got to show exactly who they are as a wrestler, the best of who they are as a wrestler. Mm-hmm. And it ended up being, for me, a 6.5 only because, okay, I love roll-ups. I think they have their place in wrestling. I'm going to agree with Yeti. Roll-up kind of irritated me a little bit. I think when you have that good of a match and you end it with a roll-up, it gets you first a little bit.
I think one thing is, though, is if you are going to beat Kenny Omega, but necessarily you really want to shock him, a roll-up generally would make more sense than hitting a finish.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, when you look at finishes in this match, the most effective finish is the one-winged angel. So whoever gets hit by the one-winged angel, you're losing the match. The Blade Runner by Jay White, is it necessarily going to get hit in this match? No. You're not, when you look at it as well in terms of how they actually worked it, it was either going to be a roll-up from one side or it's going to be the one-winged angel. Okay. So I actually agree with the roll-up.
Is it too shocking a thing for me to say that this ended up being my match of the night?
No, because I said it would most likely be as well.
Now that you've explained it to me and broken it down, I may have to bump this up to a 7.5. I may have to bump it.
I felt it was solid, and it's really kind of. I mean, you know, when I said the negativity was coming, we are getting closer. But before we get to that, Connor, our good friend, our lovely guest for the.
I'm so glad that I finally got to join. I've watched these. Of course, being the only Twitch guy, it's been fun because I'm by myself on Twitch. Until Reece yelled at me to stop being a punk and get over to YouTube for once. But
of course I did.
I am absolutely and have been for a bit a incredibly huge fan of the Young Bucks.
I think this will be interesting.
I think the Young Bucks for a while have been a gold mine. I think they're a tag team that's always worked really well together, and I think in this match, both FTR and the Young Bucks, I think honestly put on a solid show. I don't think it was the match of the night. I'm tempted to just go no higher than a 6.5 or a 7 for them as well. But I feel like it was a good show. You had kind of what the two teams are very good at, which is there are some high flying aspects to it. There are some good, I think, teamwork aspects to it.
No, you're right. Carry on.
Could it have been better? Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Do I think it was still very good? Yes. Do I think it was as good as the match before it? No. I think they were very, very unlucky to be in the spot they were in the card. I think if you switch these matches around, it's a completely different story. If you let FTR and the Young Bucks go first, because in all honesty, Bullet Club against, I'm sorry, but seriously, are we putting Bullet Club Gold against Golden Elite as the second match of the night? I feel like that was terrible booking for this because that match deserved to be on the card.
I don't know. I don't know. When I look at the order theoretically, right? Like, I think the two matches. Sorry, I think maybe three, depending on it, entrance-wise alone. I think they got one match in the wrong order, but not Golden Elite. I think they got. Round. I actually think the coffin match should have went later based on the entrance that we actually got, but. Yeah. I like the two entrances from the pre-main event and the main event literally summed up the night for getting those things right. I don't think that was wrong. I think you're fair though in terms of your analysis of the match.
I think the FTR, I think it was a very good match, but I think FTR and the Young Bucks were done a little bit hard in by having to follow up the match they did. I think it should have been switched. I don't think you put that match much later. I just think you do a little switcheroo. Put FTR and Young Bucks first. Let them fly around and show off and show out. Very good tag match. I think it's what I would call a standard good, which is why I give it like a 6.5, 7. It's a standard good where you kind of come to expect when there's a good match, a good tag team match, it's kind of about how it goes.
That's reasonable. I mean,
it's kind of how it goes.
No, I think that's fair. I mean, I still think though, even if you put them in, I think even if you put Golden Elite versus versus Bullet Club Gold and Takeshita after this match still gets outshone by the 6-man tag.
Oh, it does completely. But I think it was better off going first because I think fans kind of were like, "Wow, that was great!" You know, that 6-man tag was fantastic. And I feel like people are going to look at the regular tag match that comes after with FTR and Young Bucks in a little bit worse light because they're like, really, that's what's following up? When in reality, it's a good match. I think they're just hard done by following up to where I don't think it would have been a better match per se if you put them first. I think that people just are going to look at it in a better light and in the proper light that it should get if it's going first. Because
I think that's fair. I think that's a fair.
Is anyone else getting sick of the suplex in this match?
No, I love suplexes. You're never going to get me.
It was a good 2 or 3 minutes. It felt like 5, where all they would do is German, Northern Lights, stand and switch, German, 2 count.
Okay, but if you don't like that,
Northern Lights, 2 count, stand and switch. It was just.
If you didn't like that, then you can't say that you like Cena versus Lesnar, where Lesnar just spent the entire match.
Don't worry about that corner. I didn't like Cena
over and over. Also, the fact that was Cena's idea to just be like, just suplex me for the entire match. That's the match.
They wanted to sell Suplex City t-shirts. People like the suplex. That doesn't mean I do.
If you get tired of suplexes, you can't like that.
Literally
over and over again.
That's what a Kurt Angle match used to be pretty much a lot.
Suplex,
so I've got no issue.
Suplex.
Exactly. So I've got no issue with that.
Yeah.
My issue is like how you space out in a match. Just going to go by results as well, by the way. So opening matches. So 0 Hour, obviously. Me and Eilidh had MGF and Adam Cole, so we got a point for that. Yeti Boy and Davian had Sorry, Aussie
Didn't
Open
know we
for
were
Aussie.
actually doing the 0 hour point, but that helps, I suppose.
We still did them.
All right.
MJF is slowly becoming one of my favorite people in wrestling.
We had Young Bucks.
He's growing
Me and
on.
Ailey had Young Bucks, so we got that one wrong. Whereas Davian and Yeti Boy had FTR. But also me and Ailey had CM Punk, so we had that point. And also I had Bullet Club. Ailey also had Bullet Club. But now obviously we can.
I'll be honest, I didn't even remember predicting Bullet Club. I thought I got that one wrong when I was watching it. I was like, oh.
You're like, shit. Then you're like, oh, wait.
Yeah, oh, wait, I did predict it right. See, I'm a genius when I don't know it. But the problem, I think I gave this a 4. It was all right. It was slow. And again, could it be because of where it was on the card? Possibly. I just thought this was slow. I thought it when you come into a match, right, it got me thinking of AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura, WrestleMania 34.
Well,
you come into a match with huge expectation of what it's going to be, and then it underdelivers. Only in AEW, nothing is allowed to underdeliver. It has to be the greatest. So again, people are like, there are people saying this is the best match of the trilogy.
No.
Catch yourself on.
No.
It's the worst by a long, long way. I don't even like the Young Bucks. I respect the other 2 matches are clinics in their own right. Maybe AEW clinics, a little heavy on the spots, but that's the way they like their flavor of wrestling. The issue I have, and I'm sorry, I've got to take over here. Right. Stadium Stampede, right? You know something? Just in a word, people. In one word.
I don't even
give
want
me what you thought of it.
I don't even want to.
Can I say that legally on? Wait, am I allowed to say that on publicly?
I just don't want to.
Can we just skip it?
No, I need to eviscerate this for what it was worth. Because if WWE put anything on like this, they would be hounded into going out of business.
Call it what it was. I'm going to use one word, and it's going to be completely G-rated word here.
Go on.
Skippable. I would be okay with never saying it.
I would say that wasn't skippable because once again, if you hold WWE to the standard that everything's got to be good, you then have to hold AEW to this same standard.
Mud. This happens in WWE.
They are GCW, not AEW. This is GCW with a budget. This is CCW with a budget. This is horrible. I knew I was going to hate this going into it because of the stipulation, because it has my 3 least favorite, and for my money, the 3 worst wrestlers in the world, possibly in the history of the business. It makes me respect the late Jim Hellwig. That's how bad these 3 are.
Whoa.
That's a little too far.
That's how bad these 3 are. I'm sorry. Ultimate Warrior was over. You drew a crowd. These 3 are clowns. Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, and Jon Moxley are complete clowns. And
I can't believe you just said...
think Jim Hellwig would wrestle rings around these 3. It was atrocious stuff. Stupid inside jokes written straight from the cast of Being the Elite. This was their own Being the Elite. This was, we have inside jokes. We're going to play funny little jokes. We're going to have Penta leave the match and come out in different clothes again. We're going to have Trent's mum in a minivan drive out just to give them cookie sheets, which, by the way, why is that a brutal weapon? This is a match where we've seen glass and thumbtacks and forks and skewers. Why was the turning point 20 minutes in when the minivan arrived with the cookies? It wasn't funny. It wasn't something you could take serious as a contest. You could barely track it. You couldn't remember who was on whose side. It ate up 21 minutes of pay-per-view time. They put this on in front of Wembley. And if WWE put a stinker like this on at a WrestleMania, remember what people were saying about Sami Zayn in the Cast of Jackass match, which was a genuine comedy match set up for genuine comedy. No one got serious, but no one got seriously hurt in the match, Reece, because it was all spots and stunts and funny. These people seriously hurt themselves for other people's entertainment. And at that point, you're just going back to the gladiators, aren't you? Only these are no gladiators. These are clowns.
This is a zero. This is a Vince McMahon match.
This is a zero.
WWE, we're looking for Vince McMahon's fingers all over this match. This is I think that the concept was good, and that's about it. Moxley.
When you say the concept was good, do you just mean like a 10-man brawl or what?
I would have rather seen this as a War Games.
Okay.
You're gonna do a big like this. If you're gonna do a big like group like this, where you have two pretty massive groups, I would have rather seen this as a War Games. I think in a War Games, you have just as much potential to do the kind of like, sending people through tables, having it be a little bloody, having it be a little vicious. But I think it would have been able to be a little bit better and a little bit less of a comic joke if it's done in a War Games setting. Because with it, some of the comedy bullshit that they pulled, you can't do. So yeah. I feel like this was a great concept, but the match type was wrong. I don't agree that some of the wrestlers you're saying are awful. I think that obviously there are some wrestlers that are better technically than others. I don't believe that means that we call the rest of them the worst of all time, especially, a couple of that you mentioned. But
I think
in the end, it was terrible.
In the position on Orange Cassidy that he offends me. The fact that he actually exists and gets a paycheck and that gimmick.
I'm going to give it a 1 purely for the idea. It's a 1 purely because the idea behind it was okay.
It's a 0 for me because I refused to go negative. But this literally could have reached negative 1 million and kept going. What
do you think? You've kept pretty quiet over there.
He just wants to skip it. He doesn't want. He doesn't want to speak about it. Period. He's left speechless by my Jim Hellwig comment.
It's worse than the comment I get actually attacked for.
Are you sure? Because you've said Moxley and Gunther are the same. I don't want Moxley to be locked in a room with Gunther.
No, it's genuinely worse than the comment I get attacked for. It's worse.
I feel like Reece would rather go and watch AC Milan and Roma right now than have to hear that comment again.
That's okay. I'll message him it later, just as he's drifting off to sleep. I'll go, by the way, they're worse than Jim Hellwig.
Oh, I can do it as well. I'm up.
My only positive from this match was at least the Pentagon Jr. actually got the fuck out of it. Yeah, that was it. Okay. I don't want. I already said on the preview I was not looking forward to this anyway, because one, it's in this sort of stadium, it just doesn't work. What I don't understand, this is what they should have done, and I actually wouldn't have bothered anyway if they did. They should have pre-recorded this. They should have pre-recorded this and held it in in a nearby stadium that was empty. You shouldn't be fucking doing it whilst there's people
in a different country.
It was actually underneath me, by the way. Like, the action was actually held just directly underneath my stand. It was on my side. It was underneath me. And I was standing watching it. And I was like...
Were you impressed by the...
See, this is what I've said to people is, right, from a violent perspective, it makes sense. From a violent perspective, it makes sense. We know it was going to get to that level. So not just Moxley, just in general. Like, am I expected to be so violent and chaotic? Yes, I am. So I can't mark it down for that.
No.
And I won't. Because on a violent perspective, it's brilliant. On a violent perspective, it's brilliant.
Oh, don't. That's worse. Don't call
you're
this.
Not.
Don't praise.
No, you're not.
I get where you're coming from with this, Reece. I'll back you on this.
I'm not praising.
Don't praise this.
No, I'm not praising it.
There's no praise.
No, I'm not praising it. This is what I'm saying. I'm not praising it. I'm saying from a violent perspective, it is brilliant as a concept. It makes sense.
The concept behind it was great. The execution was awful.
The execution, I just don't want to remember it.
Yeah.
I just don't want to remember it. But from a violent perspective,
recently I think we're along the same mind here.
Talk it down. From a violent perspective, you can't talk it down. For how it actually worked, I just don't want to remember it. And I already said on the early show, I just don't care.
Concept 10, execution -10.
Just
concept -1 million, execution.
No.
But actually, concept 0 and execution 0. I hate this excuse for a match. I hate that it exists. I hate that this is what they'll lower themselves to just to be on the show. It's not wrestling. Go back to the gardens, not talking about Madison Square. Just go back to the front yards, backyards this belongs in, and leave it out of wrestling, because it's not. And the more that you try and veil this shit as wrestling, you're just going to piss me off more every time you do it.
All I'm going to say is have the same energy for other shitty match concepts that no longer make sense. Yeah. That's all I'm at, because in the same way, I've got the same energy for Hell in a Cell, which is wasted now. I've got the same energy for Elimination Chamber.
But Hell in a Cell, all those match types you're talking about, they at least, but their premise is at least in wrestling.
And
like,
they're
it's
not even
wrestling match taking place. If it's Hell in a Cell, it's still a wrestling match. You still fight for a 3 count. You still do wrestling moves to each other. You use the environment. This wasn't using the environment. This was bringing shit in to fall through.
I'm going to say something out of pocket here, and it might make you guys laugh, or you guys might just boot me from the call here.
Also,
we won't boot you. It's fine. We do need to move on, but we'll let you round it off.
It's completely out of pocket. If I'm Renee Young, am I worried that this is becoming too much of a fetish for Jon Moxley to do blood in every single match he's in?
She surely knew about that when she decided to fuck it. Let's be honest.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what Renee Paquette's opinion is. I don't care.
No, I know. I'm more just flicking shit at the fact that it seems like every time Moxley fights nowadays, it's got to be bloody.
No, Renee Paquette's opinion is like someone in this next match we're about to talk about that I'm sick of seeing in main events.
Well, the next match that we are going to talk about is this women's match.
The only person predicted this, by the way, was me, and it's what clinched me the win in the predictions.
Called this hometown thing, even though it's not hometown. It's at very least 100 miles, but Norwich is at the end of a long.
Is this Reece going in turns? Is this Reece's one to talk about if we're going in rotation?
No,
I believe it would be you, unless you'd rather take the top.
It's me. No, I'll take this one. That's fine.
Okay. Cool. Right.
I give it a fucking 2.
Okay.
And I give it a 2 because I'm sorry. Congratulations, Reece, on clinching the victory by picking the worst possible ending as what was going to happen.
Your goal was to die.
This match, by the way, won me the entire predictions.
Exactly. So
I hope you're happy.
That's the best thing to come out of this. That is the best thing to come out of this match, is the fact that Reece gets to win the predictions for the.
Yeah. What did it cost? Everything.
I get it. Soraya, at home in England, give her the title with her family there because they walked out with her. I get it. It's a cute story. It's up there with the military homecoming videos I watch on YouTube. It hits me right in the feels like that. But come fucking on, people. Tony Khan, throw some balls and know that you don't have to do that every time someone's in their home country or in their hometown. You do not need to hand them a title. You do not need to hand her the title because she's in England. And that's really the only reason it was given to her.
Well, to be fair, he did. Well, to be fair, he did take a title off a Canadian in Canada, so he didn't always.
That's Canada. That doesn't count.
That's Canada. That's a little bit different.
I'm just saying, you got to use your own point. I'm using that against you.
That's fair. But I feel like that's why it happened, is give Saraya the title because her family's with her walking out. We're in England, yada, yada, yada.
Exactly. It was so broken. It's unbelievable.
The funny thing is, I don't think that's the reason why Saraya was made champion in the first place.
I hope they drop it off her as soon as possible. I think it's like
it's because of John Moxley's contract.
No, I don't think it's anything to do with the fact that Saraya's family was there. Nobody gives a shit about that. I don't think anybody cares about Saraya's family. I mean, I certainly don't.
Well, they featured that for absolutely no reason at all.
Yeah.
That spot made me drop my match rating by 3, by the way. Like, while we were watching the match, see when they decided, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have Paige's mum, I think it was her mum, I don't know. It was a family member, held Britt, I think. And so Tony Storm could hit her. So Tony Storm hits her once, then Tony Storm charges back, I'm going to hit you with a bigger one. And Britt moved out of the way. Yeah. Why was Saraya surprised? And also, why were Saraya's family surprised? We're supposed to believe this family's been involved in this business their entire life, because they have. Why is it a shock when it all of a sudden transpires that you get involved with the wrestlers, you might be collateral damage? It didn't make sense.
I think what they're trying to do, I think what they are trying to do is they're trying to plot the seeds of this dissension within the group. But then again, though, I don't care if the Outcasts split. I don't care if the Outcasts carry on. Like, I personally just don't care. The only person I care about this entire fucking faction is Tony Storm.
Yeah, and she's been wasted.
Her character right now she's doing is fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I have seen people call it the best thing ever, and it's literally Charlotte from 2017. But, it's better than that.
Charlotte's overrated wrestler I've ever seen.
Good man.
I know, but if Tony Storm's going to copy her gimmicks, we may as well call it out.
Charlotte's never had the gimmick. It's wanker.
Okay.
It's just the mega bitch from 2017.
Her gimmick actually came from Ric Flair's fucking balls, and that's about it.
Charlotte Flair's gimmick is arrive, take a title off someone because she doesn't fucking deserve it, and then leave. I mean, if Charlotte Flair retired tomorrow, I wouldn't even care.
She's not in WWE if she didn't come from Ric Flair.
Charlotte can't fucking wrestle.
She can't. That way. Awful. She's ugly as hell. Doesn't know how to wrestle.
I'm not going to talk about looks because I really don't care about it. She just sucks. Yeah, but I will say this.
I would rather bring Kelly back than have to watch.
Let's not go back to the worst year in women's wrestling. Let's not. I'd
rather, if we're gonna have a blonde who doesn't know how to wrestle go get a title, let's bring back Kelly.
Natalia exists. Anyway,
we have 4 matches left, and
all I want to say is
for the evening. But I will let Reece and Connor take over here. And
all I'm going to say before you
I will catch you. You've got one thing to say.
All I'm saying before you go is the only reason why I think Saraya won that match is because Mercedes Moné was in the stand. I think that's the only reason why she's in the stand.
Okay, that's kind of funny, and it actually makes way too much sense. I kind of hate that you're right. Reece and I's friendship is built off of us hating each other being right. I feel like because it happened when we used to do
it's the best one, you know.
Yeah, I mean that's what but because she was in the stand, I genuinely think that's why the only reason is because obviously when Saraya was last at the top of her game, she got injured in a match with Mercedes Moné forced to retire. I genuinely think
commentary to point it out. Like the fact that commentary didn't point out Mercedes Moné was actually in the crowd showed me that they thought everyone watching this show on Fight was dialed in. You know, it was once again just preaching to the choir sort of stuff. Anyway, this has been fun preaching to this particular choir. I'm going to let Reece and Connor take over the show from here. I'm heading on out because, I'm allowed a wild Friday night every now and again. But back at 5:45. Lovely to meet you, Connor. Reece, you've been adequate as ever. We'll be back at 5:45 tomorrow. Well, I will be. These guys are keeping on going with the All Out and Payback previews. I'm sure Reece will be able to do better outro than that, but I will catch you guys later. It has been a pleasure.
Good seeing you, pal. Good seeing you.
See you.
See you tomorrow. Right. And that was Eilidh. Right. Now we can carry on. So Saraya gets the win. She's a new champion.
Is it
Job
just
done.
me that thinks Mercedes Moné is honestly also extremely overrated as a wrestler?
No, I don't think she's overrated. I just think that the fact is, I don't think, even though she was successful in WWE, I don't think she liked the style as much as what she's doing in Japan. When she's in Japan, she's more expressive.
She's in Japan now.
She's in Japan. She's in Japan. She's actually doing really well. Like the matches she's able to work, it seems to fit her really well. She's moving faster as well.
Okay, then I might need to check out New Japan Pro Wrestling because I haven't. I'm going to be honest here. NJWP is not one that I've done a ton of looking into.
Mm-hmm.
I need to probably do a little bit more looking into it because there seems to be a lot of really good going on. And
Japan's thriving at the moment. Japan's thriving at the moment, and I'm certainly glad to see it. Anyway, this one, tag team coffin match.
Interesting concept.
Absolutely. This is going to be an interesting one. We'll see how this one goes. But yeah, so Darby Allin and Sting with the best entrance of the night.
Yeah.
Versus Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage. Very interesting team. Obviously, it would have been Swerve Strickland and AR Fox, but AR Fox had issues coming into the country, so he was not able to make it. So the match was changed. I don't think this match was bad, but again, it had more spots than anything else. So, yeah, 5 as well. I mean, I like the fact I got to see Sting live. That was great. I thought their entrance was fantastic. I'd like to see more entrances like that. It certainly worked to them.
The entrance is one of the best parts.
Yeah, I thought Darby Allin worked well to what he had with Swerve. Again, Swerve and Darby Allin always deliver. All in all, I enjoyed it. Good match for what it was, but it wasn't an absolute clinic.
No, I'd put it under the FTR and Young Bucks tag team that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
I like to use, especially with matches, sometimes I like to use your average whatever, your average good match, your average great match. This is your average match. It was nothing to write home about, nothing that you're really going to look on in a couple months and go, oh my gosh, I'm so glad they had it on the card. It's all right.
Yeah.
It was all right.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that.
Especially with I will give props. Last second change, having to throw Christian Cage in there. I think they did very well bringing him in last second, like you said, with the issues of bringing, with one of them not being able to get into the country.
Exactly.
Could have been
that certainly helped.
I think it would have been better if if you had the tag team that was supposed to be there. Probably would have been like a 7 or so. But do I think it was terrible? No. Do I think it was something that was worthy to be on the card? Possibly. Do I think it could have easily also not been on the card? Yes. Mm-hmm. I think Darby Allin and Sting are a great tag team together because they both kind of give me the same kind of vibe. The entrance was great. They work well together. This is a young guy in Darby Allin who really knows what he's doing. I'm a big fan of Darby Allin. And you have a guy in Sting who brings that level of veteran, I've been there.
Who hasn't lost a match in over 3,000 days.
Yeah, I mean, Sting is the epitome of I've been there, I've done that. If you want to know something about the business, you come to me. And so that's why I think it's a great team. And I really, really hope, I don't think you do it obviously it's not going to be as a coffin match. I would hope by year's end, or at least by this time next year, we have seen this battle of these two tag teams actually happen at a pay-per-view. I think you run it back, of course, with the tag team that was supposed to actually feature without Christian Cage, because I feel like it's a completely different story if you're not having to go, well, crap, let's audible, got to switch this around, this is around, we have a completely new, because Christian Cage, I feel like, has a bit of a different move set and kind of, he's a little bit different of a wrestler. And so I feel like when you have the true team that was supposed to be there, he's
better now as a heel. Like he's explored more as a heel Christian.
I love Cage as a heel. Some of the freaking the sound bites I've heard out of him.
Yeah. It's been impressive. Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what you're getting. and the match delivered for what gets all four men into their comfort zone, which is even more impressive and more in a sense. It was just good to see as a combination. So I'm happy with that either way. Going to move on to the second last singles match of the night: Ospreay versus Jericho.
I'm a big fan of Jericho,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like he's getting to the point where I think it's his time to retire in the next year or two. I'm going to be completely honest. I feel like Jericho is great, but if you want to talk, I mean, I talked earlier about how CM Punk has lost a step.
Yeah.
Jericho's lost at least one, if not two. He's just not the wrestler he was. And I get that. He's old.
But there were some great spots in this match still from both of them. There was brilliant. I mean, that Hurricane Rana counter into the line tamer was fucking amazing.
And that's why he is Chris Jericho, and that's why I think he is one. I think that's why he's a Hall of Famer wherever he goes.
Yeah.
Because as much as he is past it in my eyes, he still will deliver some absolutely fantastic spots in every match.
When it's a do-or-die big match situation, Chris Jericho will roll back for that situation. He will roll back the years and he will deliver. He did deliver this one.
He's a big match wrestler. He is there for the big matches. That's his bread and butter.
Yeah, 100%. And Ospreay as well. Like he's had a great year, and this will carry on for him. And the crowd behind him as well for Eilidh, whereas Chris Jericho had the crowd going for him, singing. Like, first of all, the fact he started off with a Queen impersonation, which is exactly what we knew was going to happen, and then he sang Judas. It was great. The crowd were up for it. The crowd were loudest for this match.
Fantastic. I will say quickly, the crowd was fantastic at this pay-per-view. Yeah. I've been very hesitant to give praise to AEW fan crowds, just because they haven't always. Honestly, there's been times where I've not been very impressed.
Yeah,
especially with AEW not selling tickets on one side of the stadium for their events. I've seen some, you've seen everybody's seen the pictures of half the arena being the hard camera. They don't sell tickets on that side.
Yeah, it's becoming a problem.
It's becoming a massive issue, and I hate it because it's giving these WWE tribalists ammo to go after AEW and just call it shite, when I think it's a lot better than a lot of people give it credit for. A lot better than I gave it credit for at the beginning. I will say, I was not a fan of the beginning. I thought it was a terrible idea. I thought it was going to bomb. It was pleasantly surprised.
And that's fair. And that's completely fair.
It pleasantly surprised me. But this crowd, I will not say it's the best crowd of the year when it comes to wrestling. I still think Puerto Rico is the best crowd I've ever seen in a long time at a wrestling pay-per-view. I mean, the pop that you got for Carlito when he came in out of nowhere, I still look it up every week to listen to it, just to watch it, because it's just so fantastic. Because I'm also just a big fan of Carlito. But it was for AEW, this is probably my best crowd I've ever seen in an AEW setting. They were.
That's fair.
I mean, not just because you were in the crowd. I'm not buttering you up because you were in the crowd as well. But it was a legitimately fantastic crowd, and it shows that wrestling as a whole should definitely be putting more events in the UK, and get a freaking event in Scotland. How long does Scotland have to wait for an event at this point? But
don't even get me started on that. Just don't.
But it was great crowd. The crowd. I mean, the great thing about this is AEW's got a lot of WWE fans where they grew up with WWE, and now they're like, well, here's a new product. And there's some bad fan. Every fan base has bad eggs. Yeah. But there's a lot of them who have taken the best parts of being a WWE fan and brought it over to being a fan of AEW, and that's what I think made this crowd great. They were genuinely thrilled to have this pay-per-view. Yeah. And they showed just how thankful, and I think they showed how appreciative they were that AEW took a chance. Because I think they took a chance. You can't say anything else. They took a chance going to the UK for this big of a pay-per-view.
I agree with you, and that's how it should be. And it's about where you present. If you have an opportunity to present to yourself, you take it. Even if you feel like it's not going to work, go for it. So all in all, I'm generally I'm happy with it in that sense. So we'll see. We'll see what comes next. Exactly.
With it.
Absolutely. But again, obviously, Will Ospreay gets the win. Big win for him. He now moves on. Fantastic for him. He moves on to Royal Quest.
I think he should have. I think it was absolutely the right decision.
Yeah, moving on to this. And I just want to say, House of Black, amazing tribute entrance to Bray Wyatt. After that, wrong bloody result. I hate the fact the Acclaimed Billy Gunn won this match. Like, I hated it. And I hate the fact they've now changed the trios titles that you can actually now scissor them. They've actually made the trios titles like they can scissor each other now.
Oh,
I absolutely hate that. It's like the disrespect towards the WWE Women's title from 2010 when they split it in half because of Laycool.
Yeah. Oh my God! You want to talk about? Oh my God!
Now they've done it with the Acclaimed for their titles that they can actually scissor each other. So the House of Black, amazing team, wasted this now. They've wasted the House of Black.
What they do backstage?
Yeah.
But I will agree. This was I've been a wreck this last week.
Also as well, that spot where Julia Hart takes the scissor leg drop was fucking pointless.
There's no
utter shit. It was utter shite seeing that as well.
You have to think, did she ask for that spot to be done? And they're just like, yeah, we'll do it.
Fuck knows, but it was absolutely pathetic. I didn't like it at all. I didn't like it.
No, I didn't either. But
the fact that this is all you bring Billy Gunn back for as well to give him a tag team title run, no thanks. You've already got a credible team in the House of Black that are doing well. They're actually restoring these titles. Like, fuck what Billy Gunn wants, even though Billy Gunn is a legend.
I love Billy Gunn.
That last title run.
But sorry, I was going to say let it die, but that's, I was also about to relate him coming back to Terry Funk still wrestling, and I wasn't going to say let it die and Terry Funk in the same sentence because,
But I didn't like it. The less I say in this match, the better. All I'm going to say is 2 out of 10.
2.5, and literally all 2.5 of it is the entrance. I've been emotional as hell this last week because of Bray Wyatt, and that legitimately brought a tear to my eyes seeing that entrance.
Oh, the entrance gets like a 10 out of 10.
The
entrance gets a 10 out of 10, but the match gets a 2. The result pissed me off.
The result was pointless. There was no need for it. And in the end, it just kind of leaves you. It's like having like an undercooked cookie where there was so much potential and it might have started off great, but in the end, you're just left very disappointed and it leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
I agree. Whereas I actually enjoyed the main event, although part of it really I kind of expected. I'm like, I wish they didn't do it. Was the draw? Yeah, but I kind of expected the draw to happen anyway because obviously that's what happened in their first match.
It's expected. So draw was expected. Okay, thanks.
But I like what they did. They used friendship as a concept for this match, where Max was literally too afraid to do anything to Adam Cole to hurt him, whereas Adam Cole was like, "Fine, if you're not going to fucking hurt me, I'll hurt you."
I'm going to do it. Yeah.
Like Adam Cole woke up after the pre-show. Adam Cole literally went, "Well, I'm choosing violence. Fuck this." Like the suplex toss on the steel steps, the tombstone on the announce table.
I loved that spot.
Like that was all perfect as well, and I was like, they added more to it by bringing out Roderick Strong. Like the Kingdom were standing on the entrance ramp. I thought they would have come down to ringside. Like I thought they would have done, but they didn't.
You know what I will say?
This match worked really well.
I will say that MJF not choosing violence and being hesitant, I think was actually the perfect thing to do in this scenario.
Yeah.
Because it gives MJF a little bit, it shows that, MJF's got a little bit of a heart. I think, he's been great as this heel who says what he feels and acts like an asshole and stays in character wherever he goes. He kind of reminds me of Bob Backlund with how good he is at staying in character no matter what. As long as the camera's on, he is MJF. That is who he is. But this kind of is like, all right, let's give him a little bit of a heart and show that, and I think he drew some more fans from that. And
oh yeah,
I think honestly for me, I haven't done this and I haven't given a match rating like this probably in I'd say 6-7 months.
Yeah.
I'm giving it an 8.5.
Okay.
I'm really, really pleased. I'm not going to give it a 9 or a 10. I don't give 9 or 10s to matches, really ever. I don't remember the last time I gave a 9 or a 10. But it is close to a perfect match that I could get. Everything that they did made sense. No pointless spots, no pointless moves. Everything had a purpose. It really, everything, how they had having Adam Cole choose violence and having MJF be kind of more nervous about it and not really when to go for it like that made sense and I think was the correct way to go. And the ending put me in my feels and I think was a great way to end the show.
What I found interesting, though, which didn't make sense to me, though, you have Adam Cole rip off the Better Than You baby shirts after they put the shirts back on. So they put the shirts on, then they wrestle, and then he rips it off MJF. But then he keeps it on for the rest of the match. That's the only thing that didn't make sense, though. That was the only thing that didn't make sense to me, is why are you still wearing the shirt if you've ripped yours off, if you've ripped off MJF's? But I thought the concept was good. I liked the draw, and then they changed it around saying, no, we're going to go until we have a winner, a decisive winner. I thought it was funny when they were doing the throwback to Eddie Guerrero when they were tossing the steel chair. That was it. That was funny as well. That's
one of my favorite spots in a match in a bit.
I like that. I like that. And that worked really well for them. Little joking, obviously MJF wins it by putting the chair around his neck, which flips off Cole even more.
Oh my god, I was rolling laughing watching the back and forth, and then him just going, "All right, I'll just put it around my neck and drop it."
I feel like they missed the trick though, not having one of them turn on each other, but I think we will get that very soon.
We'll get it eventually, but I think doing it like you did tonight was good.
Yeah, but still, good ending to the show, good ending to the match as well. Then they announced Wembley will host it next year, Bank Holiday weekend for Wembley 2 for All In.
So you're going to be there
Wembley 2. I'll go. Yeah, I'll go.
So we'll see again.
Yeah, I'll get better seats this time. But all in all, I enjoyed it. We went an hour 27. I've enjoyed this show. Connor, thanks for coming on. We are back tomorrow, 5:45. Previewing All Out and Payback. We're going to start with Payback because Payback's the first show, and we'll close it with All Out. So we're going to do an hour each. But it was good having you on, mate. To everyone that's watched, thank you very much.
Yeah,
that's good. This has been your All In review show. This is a weekly Steelchair, and we will see you again tomorrow. Good night, everybody. Bye for now.